Well, greetings and welcome, my League of Eagles. It's Wednesday. I'm so grateful that you're here. You know that we gather every Wednesday for another episode of Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, and we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. What a gift it is for me to be connected with you today and every time that we're together. I'm Joy Ruffin, your Minister of Enlightenment, Awareness, and Awakenings, and your signature style specialist. And what is our theme this month? It's you, all about you. It's your power in full bloom unfolding. So let's rise and soar together. One of the things that I want you to do is just sit back and relax because, oh my goodness, have I ever said to you, if I haven't, I'm saying it to you now, and I'll probably say it over and over again. I have such a love for teachers, for nurses, and for librarians. And today, our special featured guest speaker, and this is the day after St. Patty's Day. She's a beautiful, lovely Irish lady, and her name is Nathalie O'Shea. She is a mindset and emotional coach, clarity coach, a Canadian nurse of over 30 years. No longer, but we're going to be talking about that. So you know the drill. All you have to do is just sit back, get comfortable, whatever that is to you, and help me welcome Nathalie O'Shea. Nathalie, hello and welcome.
Greetings. Thank you so much for having me, Joy. And thank you to all your guests.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here because, as I said, and I don't brown nose and sugarcoat anything, I love nurses, teachers, had some of the best teachers, and librarians. Spent my life more or less around all three. So Tell us about what you're doing now. You're a nurse by the background, but that's not what you're doing now. How did your work with patients lead you to create SoulLogic, which we're going to be talking a lot about today?
Right.
Start.
Thanks. So what happened was, like, for many years, I had the privilege of caring for patients in a very physical way. Mm-hmm. But what I began to see, especially on the one-on-one appointments where I had more one-on-one time with them, the clients were coming in with much more than just physical issues. You know, they had anxiety, they had trauma, grief, sadness, deep emotional pain, heartbreak sometimes. And because I had them with me for a full hour, we were able to develop a very nice, trusting relationship. And then they would share what was going on through their lives. And I began to realize how deep the need was to not just treat their symptoms, but also to listen to what was going on underneath, because sometimes that can also affect the physical. Right. So that's what led me to create SoulLogic. It came from witnessing my patients, what they were going through, how they looked on the outside, but the suffering that was going on the inside, and realizing that it needed a space where people could begin to heal at a much deeper level.
Fascinating to me because, you know, we all have this journey of life that we go through, and we're all dealing as best we can with all of these issues. But you mentioned several of the things that you discovered that were underneath that you were able to see and feel because they shared it with you after a while. Right. Again, repeat some of those things that you said, anxiety and stress and all. Give us more of insight about what those ingredients and what those things were underneath that were beginning to surface with you.
Right. So, like, for example, I can give you an example with one of my appointments. So a client came in and I was providing care. And within a few minutes, she was, just asking, how's your day? How's everything going? I asked her about something that she had spoken to me about at a prior visit. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden she was in tears. And what came out wasn't about her physical health at all, but it was something that she had been carrying very silently, but for a long time. And she was extremely stressed and overwhelmed with a situation that was going on with her sister. And the moment stayed with me because I realized that this isn't like a rare case. This is something where more and more of my clients, they're showing up to their appointments for physical care, but they're kind of like offloading. Right. Mm-hmm. So they would talk about the stress they were under, a painful relationship that they had been in and that may have come to an end, or with a family member with the holidays coming. And I could see that a lot of the underlying issues were like childhood experiences that were still affecting them, and the anxiety that they couldn't shake, or the exhaustion from trying to hold, especially women holding everything together.
Yes.
And I saw all that pain that they were carrying, but silently. So that showed me that emotional healing is not separate from the rest of our lives. It affects how we think, how we cope, how we relate to others, sometimes even how we feel in our own bodies. And when the emotional burden goes like unaddressed, and then we stay stuck in our pattern for years, and then sometimes we get to a point like we don't understand why things are happening a certain way or why we're reacting a certain way.
Oh, Nathalie, I think you nailed it without question, because when you say that emotional healing is just as important as physical, they come to you maybe with these physical ailments, but underneath, especially, it's for men and women both, but especially for women, because of all the conditioning and programming and all that stuff, and we hold that stuff in, it surfaces more, the stress and anxiety and how we deal with that. Now, when it comes to the emotional healing, you mentioned the anxiety, the stress, and all of that. What are some of the other aspects of what you find with both men and women, but predominantly women, that you find? Because we do have a tendency to shield and to cover and to not showcase what's surfacing or what's boiling underneath. So what are some of the other things that you see with women especially?
I think it like you say, it's that holding on to these issues, a lot of guilt, feeling a lot of guilt. I find like women, they feel a lot of guilt for not giving enough, a lot of guilt for not being enough, a lot of guilt for just everything, because they're kind of the pillars for their family and they're pillars for the community, and they take on all that pressure and all that, what's the word I'm looking for? All that, not burden, but all that responsibility.
Yes, that's the key word.
Yeah.
And I think, Nathalie, you nailed it, because it's that guilt. Guilt, and that has a lot to do with when you said emotional healing is just as important as physical. Yes. When we go to that guilt, especially for women, and I think I'm not a psychologist, I might be way off the rails here, but I think it's more predominant within women than it is with men, because of that key word that you ended with, the responsibility that we take on, because there's so much that we do. Now, when it comes to someone who's feeling anxious and stuck and overwhelmed or trapped in these painful patterns, what is usually happening underneath? And I know it's never ending, but that underneath, you've heard this expression, I've heard it, we've all heard it, and back to Dr. Zeus, what's underneath shows on the outside, but not always. So what have you found there?
So usually there's something deeper, right? Driving that pattern.
Much deeper.
And like you said, on the surface, the people may look okay. But sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's the people pleasing, sometimes it's the shutting down, sometimes it's like the overreacting, and you'll be like, whoa, why did they react that way? But it's, again, that deeper driving pattern. Or sometimes it'll be somebody who's repeatedly in a painful situation, like with a partner or something, or a new partner, but underneath there's often an unresolved emotional wound.
Yes, and you used a key word there for all of us, and I think my base foundation is always truth, love, and beauty, the foundational stuff, substance for almost any and everything. And many of us, especially women, now my work is as a leadership and signature style specialist, and it's about feeling good and looking good, because they both go hand in hand when you get your stuff together, so to speak. But a lot of us cover it up by putting on the outside, and then we show up, but that inside is turmoil. And I'm sure you find a lot of that, right?
Yeah, because, people, you don't want to show out there that that you feel fear, or that you feel rejected, or that you feel abandoned, or that you feel shame or betrayed, or, a deep feeling of not being enough or being seen. So a lot of people think that something's wrong with them, when really you're just living from an old emotional wound that was never fully dissolved or healed.
You got it. You got
right?
it.
So
Yep.
instead of judging the pattern, I like to help people get curious about it, because when you understand what's underneath the reaction, everything begins to make more sense. And that's often where the healing begins. Yeah.
I love that saying and the way that you express that, because there's that shutting down and that overreacting to
Yeah.
stuff. And when you do that, it's because that inner stuff has not been resolved or not in the process of. So it all goes back to something. But sometimes it's, what is that thing that they say, Nathalie, when you take whatever your stuff you're dealing with and you project it onto someone else because you've not resolved it yourself? I see a lot of that. Do you?
Projecting, yeah.
Projecting is a key word. Yes.
I had that incident happen not too long ago where somebody was like, like this, and like this, and I think you're doing this, and you're thinking like this, and I was just looking at her, and I'm like, none of this resonates with me. And then I heard her speaking in another group over something else, and she was saying exactly what she had said to me, and I was like, oh, okay, so she was just projecting. So, but I was able to look at it from an observer perspective, which instead of getting involved in that energy. So yeah.
I like that, because you know what I find, and especially with women, and I am one in a season of life that's beautiful for me, but I know how hard it can be for a lot of people, especially when it comes to this anti-aging stuff. But there's a lot of projecting going on when you haven't resolved that inner stuff within yourself. And so what I've learned to do, painfully so, but a blessing in a way, is to say, God bless and move on. It's not my issue. It's not my stuff. It's theirs. And wish them love inside and keep moving. Because I know that
you have to send love. And the biggest lesson I learned and was taught to me again last week when I was in training, to forgive.
Yes, exactly. I have a friend who works predominantly with, like you work with your SoulLogic. She works on this quality, this trait of forgiving first yourself, and then learning to forgive others.
And the hardest person is ourselves to forgive.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Because that inner child within me is always wanting to come up and shout and be the boss and be in charge. And it's been a painful lesson to learn, breathe, and just let the love within you flow, because that's what it's about, and get to know who you are at your core. This is a great conversation. I'm going to take a quick little reset a little bit early, because we have a lot more to talk about possibilities and options that you offer for the things that you do. So my engineer is going to scoot you in the green room, and I'll be with you in just a second. My Eagles, it's all about know thyself. It's all about us, all of us, and especially for us women. Not ignoring men, we can't, but it's about us knowing how powerful we are, but in love, truth, and honor, and the beauty of within ourselves. So I'm going to ask you to join my Facebook group, which is yours, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. We need you there with your vision, the mission and the purpose that you have, just like Nathalie is there. And your assignment, you know, you have an assignment. It's always about homework, no matter what season of life you're in, is to connect with all of the other women there and see how you can collaborate and build a community together, and make sure that you shine, you lead, and you leave behind your legacy of what you want to share with the community that you are part of. And then I have now a YouTube channel. It's called Joy Ruffin Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth. It's all about femininity, style, and truth. And each and every Thursday, I come to you with a different episode about everything. It's not only about style from the outside. It's what Nathalie and I are talking about today. It's what emanates from within and how that shows up on the outside. And it will be different for each and every one of us. So make sure you subscribe, you comment, you leave your comments there, and make sure that you become a part of this community as well. And now I'm going to put up for you Nathalie's graphic. Clear, clean, simple, but the meat and potatoes are here. SoulLogic Clarity Map. This is what she's offering you to go get unstuck and choose your next step with confidence. A good word, confidence. That's what we're all headed towards. And download it today. Make sure you take a screenshot or a snapshot, and then make sure that your next move is to connect with Nathalie, because she knows her stuff and she loves the work that she's doing. And that said, Nathalie, let's go back to you now. What becomes possible? Ooh, this is a good one. What becomes possible? They all are. What becomes possible when someone identifies and heals the emotional root, love that word, root, of what's been driving their suffering. Oh, I could tell you stories about mine, but I want to hear some stories about what you've encountered because
Right.
mine are never ending. Yes.
Well, it's that's it. I mean, we look at it as an onion and we're just peeling the layers, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Like the onion.
So, sorry?
Like an onion, you're always
Yeah,
peeling the layers. Yes.
exactly. So, I think when we identify what the emotional root is of the suffering, then there's a huge sense of relief because then the person stops seeing themselves as broken or flawed, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they begin to understand why they're feeling a certain way, why they're struggling, why they're stuck in the ways that they have been. So from there, everything becomes possible. Because once we've gotten to the root of the problem, we've cleared it, then you have a sense of peace. You have more clarity naturally. You become more self-aware and you have more freedom on how you want to respond to life and how it's coming at you. So you're less reactive to others. You feel less burdened. You're more connected to the universe, to God, to yourself, to others. And then you start making decisions from truth instead of from old pain and old wounds that were created in your childhood. So to me, the beauty of this work is not staying trapped in your story forever. It's about understanding the root, healing what's underneath it, and creating a space for a more peaceful and harmonious way of living.
I love that. I love that, and very well said. And you started off by alluding to however you want to verbalize it. For each and every one of us, the differences are unanimous and never ending, but yet that broken or flawed, because we feel that way because we've not gone inside to get to that inner stuff that's there.
Yeah.
So I know it's different and I know it's varied. This applies to almost everything. But what are some of the top things that you find that people are broken or flawed? For me, it was self-love. Not knowing and never feeling that love within myself, because Momsy and the family, did the best they could, but it wasn't enough for me. So I had to find it for myself. So what are some of the reasons that people become broken or they feel that they're flawed in some way?
Well, I mean, it's so varied depending on circumstances of childhood, because the imprints are made from the age of 0 to 8.
Yes.
So, and it could be as simple as I'm crying in the crib, and I wanted Mom to come pick me up, and she didn't come pick me up right away. Oh, so then that must mean I'm not worthy. I'm not important. I'm not being seen. I'm not being heard. I mean, simple things like that, but create a big, big, big wound.
And Nathalie, that
a
wound,
lot worse, with trauma and stuff. So.
I hear you loud and clear. And that wound, and this is one of the reasons when I look, and I'm sure we all do in different ways, contingent upon how involved we are with it, the social media platform, when you say, and I will agree with you, most all of us, not most, I think most everyone in different ways wants to be seen, you want to be heard, and you want to be valued.
Yes.
And you want to be acknowledged for who and what you are and what you bring to the table. But until you get your stuff, I use the word stuff together. There are other words that are used a lot today that I'm not fond of. But when you get that together, you begin to be seen and heard in a way that speaks to your genius and the true gift of you, the inner core of you. And that's what's missing today a lot on social media, because a lot of us who didn't get our stuff together, we're preening and pruning and blah, 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 prancing on the screen, but we don't have that inner thing together. So I like it when you said that if you're broken or you're flawed, and there are many other words that we could use, then this happens. But how does one begin? They begin when they come to you to discover that whatever is not being seen or valued has to surface so that you can heal it.
Yes.
How do you begin that work with people? I like what you began with when you said they come to you and they get to know and like you and to trust you, then they'll share with you.
Yes. So sometimes it can be as simple as somebody coming in and they're talking about, oh, I'm so upset about how I was treated at work and this and that. And this person said this and that person said that. And then it's like, okay, so how did that make you feel?
Yes, I love that word. Mm-hmm.
And then, it made me feel like this. Okay. So when do you remember the first time in your life feeling like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then they want to go back in the story and then, okay, so let's just take a minute. Let's just take a deep breath and close our eyes and see, when was the first time you felt like that? Oh, I was 4, I was 5, this and this happened. Okay, so where do you feel that in the body? Oh, okay, so let's just focus on that area. Let's send it some love if you can. And let's just focus on that sensation, because that's what's causing the dis-ease, right? That emotion. So then we heal that emotion, bring it to neutral. And naturally, the person's just going, and of course, I'm using my intuition. I'm also using my intuitive gifts and healing that in the person. And then when we've done what we had to do, the work that needed to be done, then the person's like, oh, wow. And then, you touch base again. Well, okay, so now if this and this, and I say this to you, how does it feel? Oh, I don't feel it anymore. Like, I'm not triggered. Okay. So if you go to work tomorrow, how are you going to feel? And then, sometimes we have to do some tweaks, but in general, it brings that anxiety right down to like,
yes, I would think so. I would think so.
Working for.
Nathalie, let's speak to something you brought up, because this is something I'm going deep into the matrix now.
Yeah.
But you can ride with me. You use that word feel. It's about feeling and acknowledging your feelings.
Yes.
But when I say deep into the matrix, I think today with AI and all this other beautiful technology, and many of us not knowing exactly how to utilize it, we're thinking more than feeling. Yeah. And so that said, your work is probably more paramount now than ever before, because it's about feeling and recognizing, acknowledging that feeling, that emotional, whatever it is that you're feeling, and then speaking to it.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing. But you also mentioned another word there that I want to get to as it pertains to you. Intuitive. You have this intuitive gift. You have this intuitive intuition, knowing. So tell us a little bit about how that plays into the work that you're doing. We all want to know.
So, I get downloads. So a person can be speaking, and then they could be speaking about a completely different subject. But I'm getting a completely different message. So it's the universe kind of lets me know where we need to go. So you might come in with this, but by you saying this, then I'm getting other messages. And then it's like, I'm able to like switch it. And okay, so if we look at it from here or this way, then, let's go this way. And then they're like, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. Or, that's one aspect.
Yes. Yeah. So you present what you have intuitively visualized and seen and felt, and you shared with the individual.
Yes.
And then they in turn will yay or nay it, and then you can go on from there.
Yes.
Now, again, off the rails, that intuitiveness that you have.
Yes.
How far removed is that from one who has, or is it just a language, that psychic ability to see and feel beyond?
You see, we all have these abilities.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. We all have these abilities, and it's just developing them. And actually, it's not even developing. I would say more it's remembering. Remembering. Because we were all born with these abilities, but through schooling, through just society being the way that it is, we weren't able to develop it to its fullness. But they're all sitting there underlying. And that's why it's so important to tune into ourselves, tune into, meditation is super important. Taking that time out from social media. Social media can, as good as it is, it can also be a poison for the mind.
Oh my goodness.
And the soul.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And if it's not utilized right, it can be deadly. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
because it can make you feel completely inadequate because you see these people having wonderful lives, doing wonderful things, and then it eats at your life, what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. Oh, I'm not good enough, or oh, and stopping you from actually living your true life and your true purpose.
Absolutely. And Nathalie, for me, and I hope for many others when they tune in and listen to this, when you said we all have that gift, it's how we use it. Because now I'm saying I feel when I'm in an environment, I'm around people, I'm not judgmental, but I have a deep sense of discernment, and I can feel people out after I spend some time with them. And I know if they're authentic and genuine and real and true in what they're projecting and what they're saying. And that feeling leads me oftentimes in a good direction. I make a lot of boo-boos, a lot of mistakes, but that feeling, right, that gift that we work with, that's there, it's there. And I think we all do have that gift. Give us, before we go here, an example of someone without any names or anything that you have really supported and helped with your SoulLogic work, that you not only are they happy and going in the right direction, but makes you feel so proud. I'm sure that's with any and every and all, but one example so people can have an inkling of the work that you're doing with Soul. I love the name, by the way, SoulLogic.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, I can speak of one client who I had. This was more of a physical healing and supporting.
Right.
She was going through cancer, and she had a lot of feelings because she had a young daughter, was very worried about her daughter and what would happen. And so working with her, it was just to try and, again, help her with the feelings of guilt, feelings of anxiety over the treatments, feeling of, inadequateness, of the unknown. And she got through her therapy, she got through her treatments, and came out on the other side. And I just saw her a couple of weeks ago at Aquazumba, and I was like, oh my gosh, you look like a 20-year-old. What happened?
Great.
And she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for all your support, because it really helped me get through it and helped me with my daughter. And I was so touched by just how appreciative she was. So that's one example.
That's a great story. And this little thing, and I say little thing with a little bit of sarcasm there because there's nothing small about it, called cancer. It's a biggie. And if you were able to do that and uplift her spirits and give her a whole new outlook on what could be, then that in itself is great. Nathalie, I don't put people on pedestals, and I don't do anything that takes people above the reality of now. But I really applaud and celebrate the work that you're doing. And I love the name, again, SoulLogic, because it applies right now. This soul thing is really coming out into the stratosphere now.
Yeah.
But for someone who's listening right now, as we end this, and who feels seen by this conversation, what would you want them to know, and how can they take the next step so that they can begin a whole new journey of self-awareness and self-worth, self-confidence?
Yes. Well, I think the most important thing is I just like people to know that you don't have to stay stuck. There's a way out. There is a way out. Through it, healing is possible, for sure, 100%. So I invite your viewers to come have a look at my website at soullogic.com, like you have there. And you can download free the SoulLogic Clarity Map, which will give you like a step-by-step process of maybe something that you would like to clear and get unstuck from. And then if you choose to and would like to work further with me, you can always contact me through soullogic.com, and we can set up a clarity call and work together if you'd like. I would love that. I love it.
Oh, I think you would be the best teacher, mentor, soul healer about, because I can feel the heart and soul of you and the sincerity. Nathalie, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome, and I'll be with you in just a second. Boy, oh boy, what a beautiful blessing we had today by having Nathalie here to share with us today. My Eagles, need I say, as I always do, thank you for sharing this moment with us. We honor your presence, your energy, and your openness to growth. And here's what I leave you with each and every week we come together. Empowerment without liberation is incomplete. And as we let go of the old conditioning, we make space because it's created for true empowerment to take place. And that's what Nathalie shared with us today, a means and a way for us to get unstuck, and regardless to what it is. There's so many alternatives for us, and one is to work with her. So join me next week for another soulful conversation with a featured guest speaker. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fashioning Femininity, Style, and Truth, so we can stay connected. And if you want to go deeper, go and explore my website, joyruffin.com, where something beautiful is always unfolding for you there. There are 3 different packages that are waiting for you that are more than just surface. There's depth there. And don't forget our theme, your power in full bloom unfolding. That's what we're about here now, always. So until the next time, my eagles, stay grounded, stay connected, and let your light lead the way. I'm sending you always much, much love from my heart to yours. Be and stay well. All the best. Cheers.